everybody, welcome to SDN Bit. In this channel we discuss network automation and programmability concepts. In the previous video of this Containerlab series we have successfully downloaded and installed Containerlab, and we have run some Arista CUS images to demonstrate CLI access and in general explained how Containerlab deploys the lab and runs it. Today we are going to explore Containerlab further, and we are actually going to run some network automation scripts using Nornir framework for network automation. Let's get started. So as you can see, I have opened up my terminal, and if you look closely you can see that my CPU usage is 46%. Why? Because I have already deployed a lab on Containerlab. To demonstrate which lab I have deployed, I am going to run Containerlab inspect command and specify a topology definition file. But I don't know the topology definition file. Well, actually you can't see it. So I will just list the contents of this directory to show you what's going on. So basically this is a lab 21 directory, which is also a Git repo, which you can clone directly from GitHub. And under this we have 3 different folders: Arista, CLab, and Juniper. So for this video series we are using CLab 21 directory. So I'm going to switch to my CLab 21 directory and list the contents. And as you can see, I have this topology definition file called L3VPN MPLS lab. So this is basically a topology file for L3VPN lab, and I'm going to illustrate the contents of this lab topology definition file. And as you can see, I have multiple nodes here, and we're basically running a simple layer 3 VPN lab comprising of a provider network and 2 simple customer networks. So to be able to better illustrate what is this lab, I am going to use a built-in function of Containerlab to visualize the topology, to visualize the logical topology. Now, how I'm going to do it, right? So first of all, let's actually inspect the contents of our Containerlab lab file, right? So I'm going to say -t, and I know the file name now. It's going to be L3VPN MPLS lab. So let's just demonstrate the amount of devices I'm running at this point. So as you can see, I am running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Arista CUS images and 2 Alpine Linux images. So Alpine Linux images are hosts, and then all other Arista images are acting like a router, basically. So to be able to better visualize this topology, we are going to use something called graph. So if you look for the help options, you will see that there is this graph flag, which basically generates a topology graph. So let's go ahead and run it to visualize our topology. I'm going to say Containerlab graph, and then I'm going to specify my topology definition file, which is again L3VPN MPLS lab. As you can see, now Containerlab is serving topology graph on this website. So let's go ahead, open a new Firefox window, and actually let's copy this. Let's copy this URL. And let's paste it over this browser search bar, and boom, as you can see, we have a tool which is basically illustrating the contents of our topology file, basically our nodes, and we can actually drag and drop and move all these node elements right and left, up and down. So this way you can actually easily understand how topology looks like. So I'm actually going to quickly align them just to explain you what's going on in this lab. just for demonstration purposes. You can also use this. And here, pretty much. You can also change colors. If you come to this cog icon, you will see that there are multiple themes. So you can say, let's say slate, for example, right? I mean, there are multiple others like yellow, dark, green. I'm gonna go with slate. It looks very simple and clean. And yeah, so this is it. This is our lab. I'm already running it. All of these devices are configured, except maybe for host devices. I can configure an IP address, static IP address for them later, but basically this is what's going on. We have a provider network consisting of these 4 routers, and then we have customer networks, which is the same customer in 2 different branches. Let's say this is the branch 1 on the left and branch 2 on the right? So that's pretty much it. This is an easy way of quickly demonstrating logical topology on Containerlab. You can also use this flag called graph. Very recommended, very much recommended. So now I'm going to open a new tab on my terminal, and basically I am going to start exploring network automation using Nornir framework on Containerlab. So let's actually talk about Nornir. So what is Nornir? Maybe you have heard about it before, but basically Nornir is an amazing framework which allows you to work with Python, because it was actually written in Python with the intention of being used with Python. It allows you to create so many different scripts, to construct so many different scripts and collaborate with all other possible scripts and create multiple functions that can be used to automate your network without pretty much breaking anything else, because you are doing everything on Python. Yes, Nornir is a pure Python framework, which means the advantage of it is if you know Python, you can do whatever you want. It can be difficult for people, for engineers who are not familiar with Python. So in this case, you might want to work with Ansible if you are not into Python or into coding as general. But if you really want to understand automation better, I really recommend you to learn Python and use frameworks such as Nornir to better understand what's going on under the hood and to better grasp the concepts which we are going to use. But of course, in our future videos, we'll also have videos about Ansible automation and so on. But for this video, I'm going to focus on Nornir and its plugins. So let's go back to the terminal and let's create a new directory in which we are going to store only Nornir related files. So we have to build a file system for Nornir in order to manage our Nornir files in an organized and structured manner. So I'm going to say make directory Nornir, let's say ops. Now, the first thing you have to do when you work with any type of Python packages or libraries or frameworks or tools, anything, you want to make sure you have activated your Python virtual environment. I have shown it in previous video, and now I'm actually going to take advantage of my virtual environment. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you the hidden directory called vnet auto, in which my Python virtual environment settings reside. So I'm going to go ahead and activate by running source, specifying the Python virtual environment directory, and then bin and activate. I'm going to hit that, and as you can see here, I am running Python within the vnet auto virtual environment. There's another way of making sure it is by using which command. So if you run which Python, you will see that we're running Python, which is again within our virtual environment. Now, we are inside the virtual environment and we want to install necessary packages and libraries to be able to work with our Nornir framework and pretty much anything else. The best way of managing and basically installing packages in an organized and structured manner is creating a txt file in which you specify the name of each package named by list, like a list, like element by element, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to create a basic txt file called requirements, and this txt file will consist of necessary packages for Nornir. So basically it's going to be Nornir itself, and let's say some popular Nornir plugins such as Nornir NetMiko, so we can run NetMiko library. So we're basically plugging in the famous NetMiko library into Nornir framework. That's what this package is, basically. And then we're also going to plug in utilities, which are useful to basically run multiple operations on Nornir. So I'm going to save this file, right? As you can see, it's right here, but we can actually keep it here, or we can even put it under a special directory which is dedicated for Nornir. So let's go ahead and actually just do it, just to be on the safe side and the clean side. So I'm going to I'm going to create a new directory called Nornir Ops under CLAP 21, because that's where we're working primarily. So let's say Nornir Ops, right? File exists because I have already done it, right? I'm sorry about this. Let me check. Yeah, I have done it. So I'm going to basically move requirements txt file to Nornir Ops directory, and I am going to switch to Nornir Ops directory. It's right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use pip package manager to install the contents of this requirements file, which are the packages we have specified, right? So 3 packages currently are within this file. So I'm going to run pip 3 because I'm running Python 3, but you can also run pip if it defaults to your Python 3 install to install the packages, and I am going to say -r, which is basically a flag that tells pip to read the contents of a file. Which file? Requirements.txt file. So it's going to open this file and read the contents of it and install each package one by one. And I'm going to hit enter and wait. So this can take some time for you if you have not installed these packages before, but because they were already there, pretty much it was easy for me, it was pretty fast, and I have successfully installed these 3 packages. So now let's go ahead and actually create a file system dedicated for Nornir. So in order to operate Nornir, you have to define specific YAML files which are absolutely required for its successful operation, right? And you can read about this in tutorial section here, like if you go to inventory, where you need an inventory file that consists of basically hosts, right? It's called hosts file, or you have groups and defaults. So you have to basically create these files to be able to run Nornir, right? So I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it on VS Code. Why? Because I want to show you an amazing extension which VS Code happens to have, and this extension is called Containerlab. So to install this extension, you have to go to basically your extensions section here, and then you just search for Containerlab, and there you go. So you can just hit install button and install it. And this Containerlab extension has so many useful features which allows you to run Containerlab and work with it within VS Code, right? And after installing it, you will notice Containerlab icon right here. And if you click on it, you will see that it will give you a list of labs which you are currently running. So as you can see on my screen, I am currently running this lab called L3VPN MPLS, and I am not running this one because it has been deleted already. I have used it to demonstrate some features of Containerlab in the previous video. So because of this green button here, green circle here, I know that this lab is operational, and if I maximize this, I can see that I am actually seeing all of my devices and their operational state, whether they are up and running. So if you just hover the mouse here, you can see the information about your network node, right, and its connections and all of its interface states. And the coolest thing here is basically you have three things. First of all, you can directly access the shell of this device by hitting this attach shell button, or you can SSH the device by hitting this connect SSH button, or even cooler, you can actually use this shark button, which will capture interface traffic. Basically, it's a Wireshark kind of packet inspection mechanism, and you can easily inspect packets on this interface, on specific interface, just by clicking these commands, which we will demonstrate later, of course. Now we are going to create necessary files to run Nornir. So I am going to create a new file, and I will call it hosts.yaml. So hosts.yaml file is a simple inventory for Nornir, right? So when Nornir works, it will refer to this file, hosts.yaml file, to retrieve the host names and general host information, right? So let's create our hosts. So we have a PE1 host, which is provider edge 1 router, and I am going to give it, I'm going to specify its host name. So in this case, I'm just going to specify the host name itself because I'm running Containerlab. It has a built-in SSH known hosts binding, which will bind, not SSH, but DNS kind of thing, which will basically bind the IP address to the host name. But you can also obviously specify the management IP address of your host name. In this case, let's go ahead with just host name itself. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to, so it kind of has some auto-completion, which is pretty useful. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create something called groups. Now, groups is another necessary file. I mean, not necessary file, to be honest. So you can live without groups file and defaults file, but it's easier and it's better to have them, because if your topology is going to scale, you will easily manage each topology element under necessary file. So let's just create a groups element and call it not Juniper, Arista, because that's what we are running, right? And I am going to do it for basically other devices as well, right? We have then our P router, P1 I think it was it? Yeah. And then we had our router reflector 1, and then we had our customer edge routers, customer edge 1 and 2, and we can also specify our Alpine nodes, but they are not super necessary now, so I'm actually going to skip it. I'm going to save this file. One correction here, yeah. So this is our simple source of truth file, which consists of nodes. And actually, I'm going to show you one more thing. So when you deploy a lab on Containerlab, I think I've mentioned in the previous video, it automatically creates a Nornir simple inventory file, which pretty much consists of the same things. So you could basically just copy and paste it over there, which I think I actually should do, but just for this part, let me actually do it, because we have this platform keyword here, which might be necessary. I'm going to copy this from here, and I'm going to paste it here, and then we are going to make some more additions to this. Let's go ahead and create our next file, which is groups file. So I'm going to say groups.yaml. And in groups.yaml file, I am going to specify the platform information. So I can actually just cut it from here and paste it here so you can better understand what's going on. So basically, again, you don't need this groups file and defaults file if you specify every single information about the host in this hosts file, which is totally possible, but we're just trying to do something organized and structured as per best practices. So that's why we're going to do separate files. So let's actually just copy this part here, and let's say we have Arista, right? A node, an element named Arista, and Arista has this platform, which platform is COS, and you can also specify the username and password right here, which will make it easier, but I'm going to specify it in defaults file just for the sake of demonstration. So I'm going to save it here, and now instead of specifying platform here, I can just specify groups, right? So give me actually one moment. I can do it even here. Groups, Arista, perfect. Now I'm going to copy this and paste pretty much everywhere after deleting this platform keyword. Cool. So let's just paste it here. Now we might want to paste properly. So let me try to do it properly. Yeah, it's much better. Okay, and I'm going to save it again. So what happens now is, instead of specifying platform in hosts file, I can just specify it in groups file here, and it will basically refer to this file. So when we open the hosts file, it will go to this group section, it will find this Arista element, it will go here, and it will fetch this platform COS element from there. Now, let's go ahead and create our third file, which is again optional, but easier for structured management. It's called defaults YAML file, and in this file, we basically store all the default attributes for our infrastructure devices, right? And what I'm going to do, I think I am just going to put username and password, basically restoring credentials here, which is not the safe way of doing things in production network, but this is just a lab, so we don't care. And again, we can just delete this from here because we don't need to specify credentials one by one, as we have defaults YAML file, which already has this information in it. So I think we don't even need to actually link it to this file, because Nornir should automatically take a look at this. I have to fix one typo here. This is not a comma, this is a dot. Much better. And I'm going to save it. Okay, so cool. Now we have the required files, right, to operate Nornir. And let's go ahead and create a simple task which will basically access our devices using Nornir framework. Now what we can do is we can actually write scripts in object-oriented programming manner, so that again we think about structuring and scalability. Easy peasy. Right, so we can create a separate, let's say, run script. I think it's a pretty common way of doing it. So let's go ahead and actually create a new file. Let's call it run.py, which is a Python file. And now we can start importing necessary packages and libraries to run this basically task, right? So let's actually go with start with importing necessary elements. Let's say from Nornir import init Nornir. As you can see, we have auto completion enabled. You can just do it, and then from Nornir, not Nornir ops, sorry. Yeah, we're getting this underline here, but we shouldn't get probably VS Code. Doesn't really see it. They see the packages, but it doesn't matter. So from Nornir, let's say netmiko, import netmiko send command again, auto completion helps us. And we can create basically a function. It already shows you pretty much anything you want, but I will do it manually just to show you. We can create an NR variable, which is short for Nornir, and in this variable we can basically store initializing information. And as you can see, we are specifying this file here, config file, which I totally forgot about. So there is another necessary file that you must create in order to operate with Nornir. It's config file. So I'm going to just create a config file, and I am going to specify pointers. So basically in this config YAML file, you are specifying pointers. So for which information Nornir should look. So if Nornir wants to look to hosts file for host information, we need the pointer that will point Nornir to go there, and we have to specify this pointer in this config YAML file. So inventory plugin. As you can see, again, VS Code gives us auto completion, which makes our lives easier. So I'm going to just hit tab, and that's it. You have everything in it. So Nornir plugins inventory is simple, and then you have for hosts file you have to look at hosts.yaml file, which is this guy here. For groups, you gotta look to groups file. For defaults, obviously defaults file. Now that we have it, we can just save it, and we can close these tabs for now. And now we're telling it initialize a Nornir process, and then look into this config YAML file for references, right? Cool. So now we're gonna store result of a command in a result variable, which is again already shown. So I'm gonna hit tab, right? And I'm just gonna print this result. So we don't need any crazy script for the beginning. So I'm gonna store the contents of this show version command in result variable. I'm going to print it out on my terminal. So what happens is basically it's a very simple script, guys. So we're basically importing necessary elements to initialize Nornir, which is init Nornir function here, and then we are importing netmiko plugin. So we're plugging in netmiko library to Nornir, and then we're importing netmiko's send command function, which sends command to devices. Simple. And then using it, we're creating a task which will just send a command, and then we are specifying which command exactly we're sending to our devices under this after this command string variable, not variable but with function. Yeah. And now I believe we could go ahead and just run it, of course, after after running our after calling our function. After calling our function. So I'm not sure how this is going to work for the first time. We could get some errors in Python execution or something, but pretty much script looks okay for now. So what the script does, this script is going to send a show version command to all of our devices specified here. I have forgotten this part. Let me just add it here as well. Yeah, perfect. So it will have to send this command to all of these devices and display the output because we're printing it out. So I'm gonna go back to my terminal, right? As you can see, we have all our files here, and now I'm going to run the script and see what happens. Okay, we got error. Obviously, this is very expected. This is the first time we're running this script. So let's see, file not found. Boom. Why it's not found? Because we have not specified its path correctly. So we don't need to specify this directory. It's right in the same directory, so there's no need to specify that. Go back to terminal and re-execute. Again, we have another error. So Nornir plugins inventory simple inventory is not registered. Let's try actually deleting this extra garbage here. Like, I think it should be able to see just this part. Just a simple inventory. We copied it from here. No, we didn't. Okay. Anyway, so let's rerun the script. Okay. So we have some improvement. Oh, okay, okay, so yeah, I see what's going on here. So script has successfully done its job, but the result it's displaying is not what we want to see. Now we want to see the content of this. So it basically prints out what's going on here? It looks like a JSON element, right? A JSON element. And this JSON element consists of something we don't want to see. Now let me see what's going on here. We should print the result here, right? So you need to. I think we will need a for loop to understand the contents of this list. So let me think. Yeah, we need to go inside here. Just give me some moment here. I'm trying to understand what's going on. Okay, I think I know what's going on. Yeah, we need to go to the first element of this JSON output and then print the result. But for this, I think we had something like this in Nornir, which goes like, so print result, element 0 by index, and then result again. So this should be it. So let me go ahead and rerun the script. Nope, we're getting some errors here, which is not what if we just print this part? What if, let me save it, rerun. Okay, there's clearly something wrong with my syntax here. Give me some time, please. Yeah, we need to. Probably we need to put it into for loop. I mean, we can do that. We can definitely do it, I think. So let me try for host in hosts. I'm going to just press tab and see what's going on. Running command. Okay, so this is a lot of Let me see what it tells me. Okay, what the hell is that? Don't need that. We just need to put it under the for loop, I think. So let me actually delete all this. Don't need that. Okay, so this looks much better. So yeah, this looks much better. So now it should connect to host one by one because it's in the for loop, and then run each command against each device. Obviously, I forgot about that, and then for each result output, it needs to print out the not the metadata of the result, but the result itself. So let's actually try this out. This should run better, right? So okay, this is weird. We got some output, but this is not what we wanted. So what's going on? Key error CE2. What's wrong with CE2? Not here, sorry, hosts. Something weird is going on. So, let's see. Okay. I think I can use a plugin which will print the result for me just to make it easier. So we can actually we can actually use this plugin, which is so from Nornir utils, right? Nornir utilities dot plugins dot functions import print result. So this print result function should actually help us out here to just do all these JSON lookup by itself, and it should give us a proper output. So I have saved my script, and let's clear the tab and rerun the script. Okay, so the commands have been probably sent, but it gives us an error. So what else? Do we get an output? Not really. Okay, let me see what's going on here. Probably this is the part. Like the platforms, we have to specify Arista EOS. This might be it. So I'm going to copy this because in our Nornir inventory file, which was automatically generated by Containerlab, it said platform should be COS, but we probably have an issue with it. So I'm just going to go back to groups, and now we can actually see how easy it will be to basically change only one value here, and we don't have to do it one by one if we had everything defined under host file, right? So I just saved it, and I'm gonna rerun it, so hopefully some progress. Yeah, perfect, now it works. We have achieved successful output, guys. So as you can see, we have show version command output from each device. I'm gonna clear the tab and rerun the script again just to see how it is shown here. But it's more than, it looks like we have a lot of output. So CE1, CE2, right? We have P1, PE1, PE2, RR1, again CE1. Okay, we have some unnecessary loop here. So then we didn't need to put it under for under for loop, right? So let me actually remove this from here and just align everything back in here, because we don't need for loop if we're running this function, if we're calling this function every single time until no, we don't need this either, sorry, yeah. So if I clean again, rerun, yes, this is what we wanted. This is exactly what we wanted. So we don't need any for loops if we are running a function, of course. Yeah, so this is a very basic script which will send commands to our network devices in our lab topology, which are stored in host file, which have details both in groups file and defaults file where the credentials are retrieved from. And then using all these files, like supplementary files, we are going to run our script. And it also will automatically generate this Nornir log file, which is great for troubleshooting purposes, right? It will automatically generate logs that you see during execution, and this way you can easily troubleshoot any Python or Nornir related issues, right? Which is also a great benefit when you are running Nornir. It's easier to troubleshoot with Python. Now, this is pretty much it. Let's try other commands, just for the sake of demonstration. Let's say show IP interface brief. Let's hit Ctrl S and go back, clear the screen and rerun the script. And now, as you can see, in a matter of milliseconds, we got output for our interfaces. Let's say I want to see the interface descriptions. We can do it by just running show interface description command. I'm going to save it and I'm going to rerun the script again, and boom. We have descriptions for each interface. So for example, for PE1 router, provider edge 1, we have interface which goes to P1, to router connector 1, and customer edge. So if you go to our topology here, you can actually see this is the router we're talking about. We have one link here, and one here. Perfect. Now let's even try maybe other commands such as show BGP summary. Why not? Because we're running L3 VPN, we should have all BGP sessions established. So let's say you want to verify that all of your BGP sessions are running properly. You can just do it by running the script. So again, I'm gonna run it, and yeah, perfect. Established. Our BGP sessions, all of them are established. Now let's say I want to send a configuration command. So as you know, like NetMiko has obviously configuration options as well. So we can use plugins, NetMiko's other plugins, not even plugins, but commands. We can import other commands from NetMiko library to send it over, and we just need to plug all these commands again to Nornir and import necessary commands and just run them. Again, so let me just remind myself what was a command. I think it was send config, right? It should be send config. So let me try to do that from Nornir NetMiko. Yeah, import send config. This guy right here. So now we can actually send it here. We can say Nornir run task NetMiko send config and hostname. No, we're gonna So we can actually send. I was thinking about it, and we can actually send a command which will, let's say, enable eAPI access for all devices in our infrastructure. So we can use PyEAPI kind of libraries to be able to troubleshoot, to be able to basically access them via an API interface. So I'm just trying to remind the command that we used. So I think in my GitHub repo I wrote some kind of an instruction about it. So let me just open my Arista 21 folder, which you can also find here. And well, yes, I have a small guide here. Yeah, this is the command. So this is the command that we need to enable eAPI on devices. I'm going to just copy this and I'm going to paste it to my script right here. So what happens is this will send management API HTTP commands, no shutdown commands to all of our devices. And let's say at the same time I want to verify the output telling me that, you know, this has been successfully enabled. So to demonstrate this, I'm actually going to open a CLI session, and I'm going to open it using this Containerlab extension. So let's go to, let's say, PE1, right? And I'm going to hit this connect SSH button here, and it will prompt me for a password. The password is admin. And as you can see from VS Code, we have successfully SSH'd into our PE1 router. Now we can just, I think it was show management API. Show management API HTTP maybe. What we got here? Yeah, HTTP commands. This is the command to verify if eAPI is enabled. So as you can see, it's enabled. Then running this command wouldn't do much. So let's say we want to disable it. Shut down, right? So in principle, if I send this command, if I run the script, it will send this command to all of the devices, including PE1, which currently shows that API status is enabled, as you can see here. And if I rerun this command, or if I can just include the output, which is this guy here, I'm just going to copy this and paste over here. It didn't paste, so I can just say show management, yeah, API HTTP commands. And I will have to see it is not enabled or disabled or enabled no output, right? So let's go ahead and run the script. Again, clear the screen and run. So I can see that status is still enabled. It means either our command is false or we got output very early, which wouldn't make any sense. Let me actually comment this line out and send this command again. No, actually, wait, I have already sent the command. Comment this line out and print the result again of this show management API command. So clear, run the script. It is enabled. So we haven't disabled anything. So let's go back to CLI and understand if it was the correct way of disabling it. So if I go to conf mode, if I say management API HTTP commands, okay, so we have to go here and then we have to issue shutdown commands, right? Yeah, okay, makes sense. Exit. Let's go back here, and then we need two elements. So I'm gonna delete the comment, delete the hash, uncomment, and I'm gonna add a new element for this command here. I'm gonna say shutdown, right? Shutdown, and that's what we need. So first we're going to this module, not module, but the section. And then under this section, we hit the shutdown command. So now it should be better. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's go. Yeah, perfect. Now it works. Enabled? No. So we disabled management API interface for all of the devices, as you can see on my output. Now this is a simple way of working with Nornir. Now I'm going to go back and re-enable it. I'm just going to hit no shutdown command. Alright, save it, go back, clear, and rerun the script, and boom, it works again. So this is a simple demonstration of how you can use Nornir to automate your infrastructure. And the good thing about Nornir is that it has a lot of plugins, and it means you can have a multi-vendor infrastructure and you can use popular network automation libraries and packages to manage your entire multi-vendor infrastructure using simple Nornir scripts. So this is it. This is great, and I think for today it's enough because this video is already longer than it intended to be. In the next video we're going to dive deeper into Nornir. We're going to make even more sophisticated scripts and run them on our web. So thank you very much for watching. In this video we have discussed new concepts such as Nornir, such as automation, such as VS Code's Containerlab extension, which is very cool. And actually one more thing before I finish this video. I really wanted to share it with you guys. Because of this extension, you can have another way of illustrating or visualizing your labs. So if you come to the lab name here, and if you hit the right click on your mouse, you can see that there are multiple options to basically manage your container lab. So you can just like destroy your lab from here, redeploy from here, save configs from here. So you can do a bunch of other things. But the cool thing I want to show, again, the visualization part, you can use Draw.io extension, which is built into VS Code, if I'm not mistaken, to, again, visualize your lab. So let's go ahead and actually do it. I'm going to generate, as you can see, a Draw.io graph. Process exit with code. Okay, we got an error. Why we got an error? Maybe because we don't have this extension. Let me see. Draw.io. Come on. Yeah, it is enabled. So what's wrong here? Maybe we need this one. Draw.io preview. Let's try this guy. Again, let's come back here. I am going to say, let's say interactive. Unsupported file. Why it is unsupported, I don't know. Maybe let's try again horizontal. No, it doesn't work. Okay, what is this? Top viewer, maybe this one. Oh, we have this one. Oh, but this one is, yeah. So, okay, this is not what I meant. This is pretty much the same thing as I have shown you before, but this is also a cool way, you know, this is also a cool way to illustrate your labs. Just to see what we have here. Layout manager. What is this? Search topology. Okay, you can search for nodes here. Yeah, you come here. You come over here. Yeah, this is pretty much what I have already showed you with the graph flag in the beginning of this video. But you can also use the, unfortunately it doesn't work for some weird reason. So what I'm gonna do now is maybe I can try vertical. Process exit was, yeah, wait, this is something weird. We're getting some weird weird output logs here. I'm not sure why we're getting those, but it doesn't really matter anymore. I think it should be fine. Maybe because we have to make it a YAML file. Is that a problem? Let's try, I don't know. I don't think it's a problem here, but let's try for the last time. If it doesn't work, I will show it to you in the next video, but yeah, it should work for you if everything is alright with your Draw.io extension. Horizontal again, no, it doesn't work. I will have to troubleshoot it out. So yeah guys, but as you can see, I have just showed you how it's done, so you can try it out for yourself. In the next video I will try it for myself and show you how it works. So this is it for today. Again, thank you very much for watching this video, and hopefully I will see you again in the next video, in which we'll again dive even deeper and create even cooler scripts. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.